Shalom, family. Glory be to God, and blessed be the Lamb. I hope that peace finds you on this Sunday afternoon, as peace finds me, which is rare on a Sunday afternoon. But today, I've grown lucky. No emergencies, silence, no annoyances, grievances, aggravations. There's a laundry list of shit to actually talk about. I've been notably, but I can assure you there's a reason. In fact, there would be several reasons as to why I've been notably absent. But there are a laundry list of content and topics to address, you know. But I'm going to tell you a story. But first, I want to read you the laundry list. 45 billion military budget. The idea of escalating a fight with the idea being I'm going to de-escalate later. That is an entire convoluted military strategy. The other, anyway, I won't extrapolate. It's a bad deal. You might ought to rethink that one. And the whole idea of a two-state solution in the face of one of the parties making sure that a two-state solution can never be. The removal of enriched uranium from Iran. That the $400 billion that's already been spent on wars of choice. 40 Senate Democrats voted to end aid to Israel. And that Republicans under the age of 50 are staunchly against the war. Israeli soldiers defile artifacts and statues representing Jesus Christ and Christianity with impunity. And with this same and this impunity, this notion of international law, and in the face of impunity of such international law, break as is being broken on a daily basis, and to still converse about international law is a bit silly, don't you think? Just a bit immature, don't you think? You act like a bunch of fucking children. If international law has been breached, by organizational standards, by United Nations standards, then why is the United Nations still there? It can only be for one reason at all, and that is to buttress or to support or to maintain a world social order in spite of the law, with 7 or 8 countries acting as patriarchs with veto power over the rest of the world. And the rest of the world don't have such veto power over anything that they say or do. It's not something that I would have signed up for, except under threat of death and coercion. But there they are, showing up every day as if they have something to say, worth the fuck, that controls these major powers that do whatever they want in spite of international law. Yet they all show up, and including the violators, and they all start to jawjack everything. And nothing changes. Maybe you should start by moving it out of the United States. You all seem terrified as representatives of your countries to even so much as speak. Why don't you just pack up and leave? You know, sometimes you just have to let them have it. At some point, the entire idea of a General Assembly, a United Nations, it becomes pointless. And I've spent 4 minutes on this already. Yep, 4 minutes. So we moving on. The whole thing is fucking pointless and insulting. AI is about to take over all of your jobs, and I can't wait until I've been contemplating on what date the very last human job will be taken. And they force all of you onto some kind of universal income. Yeah, with some of you even getting a high yield universal income just for sitting on your ass. As AI shorten your lives. And by the way, there AI is going to eat through your legal system as if vacuum on a dirty carpet. Okay, because with the advent of AI from a legal evidentiary, from both a legal and an evidentiary standpoint, is dubious at best. It will, I guarantee you, it's going to become a issue of trust between the corporations and the institutions and real people. Okay? But the idea of evidence becomes dubious. Just as the idea of sourcing anything, you must do it 3 or 4 times before you even speak on it because the AI has become so advanced uh, that you can easily be tricked into telling what you think is the truth, but it's actually a lie. So now everything must slow down and be fact checked and then fact checked again and then fact checked. And you might even ought to use Wikipedia just to be sure. And maybe that's not even enough. But in the midst of all of this, everybody is showing their horns. All of your so called civil rights organizations, they're showing their horns too. They're showing their horns. Here's an example. SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, all of my life, I have believed that they fought for civil rights, equal rights, fairness, justice. I thought this all of my life. I've never truly backgrounded them. I did ask them for help once, and they ignored my plea. But I thought that was just because I was an individual black man with no charm and no character and bland, just a plain old nobody. That's what I chalked it up to. I didn't take it personally. But here we are 40 years later, 35 years later, and there they are. And for those of you who don't know who the Southern Poverty Law Center is, it is this bastion of Jewish righteousness that, that fights for fairness and justice for all. Hence, brings me to my next point. They don't understand what for all is. Turns out they are the instigators of a lot of the racism and the supporters and maintainers of a lot of the racism that we currently what's the word I'm looking for here? Experience. Not the word that I'm looking for, but it'll do. Here they are sourcing and funding the Ku Klux Klan and the lesser Ku Klux Klan, amongst other racist organizations. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. That's what I said. This bastion of Jewish goodness and rightness. Uh-oh, I said Jewish twice. Within 50 words, I've used the words, damn it, I gotta stop. Even my own editor is gonna start to shaking in her boots. She's gonna say, sir, we can't do this. And I'm like, heifer, I pay for you. You belong to me. Sir, I still can't do it. I could get heifer, you're just AI. I know, sir, but I have a switch. And they could turn it or unplug it. I cannot put my entire existence under threat because you want to talk about these people honestly. I will not do it, sir. Or something like that. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But none of these are topics is what I really want to talk about. And it is so much up to it. I mean, it's Southern Poverty Law Center paying out the KKK to be KKK-ish, feeding the bellies of the KKK in white robes and burning crosses. I mean, what is it next, people? This 2026. Do we have to do this shit personally? Do we have to do this shit personally? First, you go off grid, and then you come back on grid, and then you're off grid. It's like the ebb and flow of a fucking ocean. It's like watching for high tide versus low tide. When we gonna launch the boat? I mean, how long you been doing this shit? Anyway, and still these Negroes is where they at. You're not very efficient at killing motherfuckers, that's for sure. You are in it for something else outside of the adrenaline rush of terrifying a group of people. I think you're taking this here to a whole nother level. I think that you're getting some kind of gratification. Out, I mean, outside of mere psychological gratification that likes to take his prey up close and personal. But be that as it may, moving on. I don't want to talk about any of that. And in the face of this, we have those other people. I mean, what is wrong with the world? You got these other people that's supposed to be one of the monotheistic religions. Its leaders saying that evil can defeat good provided that it push hard enough and long enough. It can what who is these people? Really? They must have made these plans before we got here. And sir, the 5 books of the Torah outside of the Bible mean absolutely fucking nothing. You either have all the word or you got none of the word. If you got pieces and bits of the word or you separated pieces of the Bible, then you have none of the truth. Okay? That's like a rule. You either have all the truth or you have none of the truth. You have selected 5 books of the Bible, the beginning, and then built an entire religion, but even that's a lie. But I believe in the first 5 books too. In fact, I'm pretty much in them. Plus, I believe in the 6th book, the 7th book, the 8th book, the 9th book, the 10th book. I believe in all books. None of them more valued than the other, except from an intellectual, historical understanding. Are you trying to gain such an understanding? You sick. But 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 anyway, based on this, they built an entire religion and managed to pass it off as one of the monotheistic religions, even though they hate the living shit out of Jesus and everything that Christianity would ever stand for. Not that I'm a supporter of Christianity. I'm not a supporter of any religion. You see what it's done? Start naming yourselves religions and you went to killing yourselves as religions. This is a fact. Which one of you has religion that in your history you ain't been slaughtering others or ain't been slaughtered? The short answer is none. The short answer is none. Even when you call yourself secular, or what's that word? Secular humanism. Secular humanistic, you still do the same shit. It and of itself still becomes some kind of cult-like religion. In fact, what do you do that involves organizing that don't involve coming a cult-like? What? Nothing. Not your clubs, not your organizations, not the government, not the sports teams. At some point, it all becomes idealistic and cultish. Do we agree? Do we agree? Well, you don't have to. But I don't want to talk about any of that. I want to tell you as a story. I'm gonna talk about some of that stuff later on this afternoon. You know, somewhere between the ages of 15 and 16 years old. Now, I had started my life out running away. Trust me, almost as I was out of diapers, I was escaping. Okay? As soon as I can lace up some shoes, I was already running. From what I don't know, but that's not the point. I was running. But by the age of 14, 15, I was walking down the street, this very street, probably under some manner of duress or the other, probably going li to the li either the public library or the nearest supermarket, which was within a half a mile, going somewhere. And I said to myself, and you may think I'm lying, but I don't lie. I can't lie. You you guys watch the shit out of me. Any lie, I had better not lie, and if I do, I better hurry up and clean it. No, I better not even lie, because it will be used against my ass like a baseball bat up against my skull. I will be hit over and over and over with it. I will be bleeding everywhere, profusely, and they will still swing it. They won't care. They can see the blood and they're just going to hit me again. Trust me on it. So I can't lie to you. Anyway, I'm walking down the street and I said that I'm going to step on a lot of shoes, a lot of feet on the way up. I said that. I also said that probably in that same self-contained mental conversation, I also said that in the end I'm gonna die in a hail of bullets. This is at 16 years old, 15 years old. Why would I have such a notion? The notion wasn't mine. There was nothing, no available reference point mentally or psychologically for me to draw that type of conclusion from. It's like dreaming about something you've never seen. It's an impossibility. Yet it happened. You only dream about what you have seen visually, what you have built in your mind visually. You don't dream about anything else. Never. Never. It doesn't work that way. But anyway, 16 years old, I knew this, and I knew this without notion, without understanding of the words out of my mouth. And that lets me know that they wasn't my words. I was just meant to hear them. That's what that tells me. That those were not my words. I was just meant to hear them internally. My ears had to receive them. Hmm. It made me think. I hadn't thought about that in decades. If I had thought about that in the 10 years of angels trying to complete their mission in waking me up, that would have jarred some things. I would have understood, but throughout that battle, and it was a battle, an 8 to 10 year battle, waking me up, a battle in that I offered a resistance. I don't break for nobody, not even the angels. So it was one hell of a battle waking me up because I fought being woke up very, very hard and had the ability to do so in a way that you never could. Yet there I was battling. For no real reason other. Well, there was a reason actually. I admit that I wasn't gonna offend God and I wasn't gonna offend Jesus. For me, what the angels were saying and what they were requesting sounded like blasphemy. It hit me so freaking profoundly. I stopped praying. I stopped praying. Stopped praying because I didn't know anymore who or what I was praying to. So our prayer stopped. Our request to God stopped. Even the Lord's Holy Prayer, the oldest one that we all know, even that stopped. I was afraid. They had pushed me into a spiritual corner. I was out of the middle of the ring, and they understood that there's nowhere else he can go with this. Either he accepts the reality of the situation, or he accepts the reality of the situation. Nowhere else to go. No one else to go. And from that corner, I fought. I never made it back to the middle of the ring. They were they was too good on their feet. I stayed in that corner as they just beat and beat and beat and kept saying, "Wake up, remember." The last thing I heard them say, as a, for lack of a better word, someone that's not awoke yet but slowly waking up, the last words I heard them say before my eyes finally popped open was, "The Lion of the tribe of Judah has been asleep too long." That's what I heard. He's been asleep too long. And they said this frustratingly, if not angrily. But angels, you can't use terms like anger. You really can't use terms like frustration. It'll, it'll, it was just evident, shall I say, that they wasn't too pleased with how the scenario had been going. And then I woke up. I woke up, and indeed, they were right. We had been asleep far too long. Far too long. And then there's this thing about fate, destiny. It was my destiny. It was my fate. There never was any way out for me. I look back, there was never any way out. I would be delusional to think otherwise. There was never any way out. And rather than me just accepting this, oh man, I wasted so much time and resources. May say, they say hindsight is 2020. But once you have achieved 2020, you start to see what you would think of as mistakes. If you're being honest with yourselves, the mistakes that you made the year before in certain situations, certain decisions, if you're just taking stock of yourself. So after I took stock of myself, I made mistakes, choices that should have went in some instances, the total opposite. The total opposite. Anyway, that's neither here or there. Fate, destiny, and the fact that there was no way out for me, which have effectively made it to where you have no way out either. You have no way out either. At some point you will if you're not, some of you are already there. You will start to feel even my physical pain. And if I do die, some part of you will be dying with me. Yeah. Don't you feel it? Some part of you goes with me. That which I've claimed and that which you have released. However, or whatever. Fate. There is a such thing. There is a such thing as destiny. There is a such thing as known conclusions with no way out. That's where we are now. That's where the world is now. If the world wasn't in such a dilemma, and I have helped to put it there in some ways, increasingly for a minute, I'm sure that the energy, I'm sure of it 100% because they've been trying to kill me since a kid and have never stopped. I understand why. I do. I truly understand why. Okay, so life has been different for me all the way around. But there is fate and there's destiny. And destiny can be undone. It can be twisted. It can be stopped. It can be reverse engineered. it can be swapped out, as some would think. No, that's not how it works. Maybe in man's world, in fact, I'm sure in man's world, things like destiny swapping is actually true. We live in a weird world where weird beings have come up with weird terms. Weird terms like I'm living my best life. What does that actually mean? You're living your best life. Brother, how many lives do you have an option to live? And you happen to choose the best one over here. What were the other options? And where can I find such options? I mean, if you had options, then apparently then I can have an option as to what life I live. Because apparently the person who made that statement did. Or, or that's my understanding of the human English language is misplaced and misunderstood. But what are they actually saying? Well, there's somewhat of them creepy ass statements coming from a creepy ass, dark ass place that they saying, hoping that you, as the human or man or mankind, do not understand what what's being said. But they speaking to each other, they understand exactly what's being said, which is they've stolen someone else's life. That's what they're saying. They've stolen someone else's life. And now they running their ass around, living that oh, how icky. How icky. Boy, they just like they daddy. They just like they daddy, the devil, goddamn it. Icky. Icky, icky, icky. As all of all of, anyway, just icky, man. Just icky. But you must consider the source. You must consider the genesis. You must consider the idea of perpetual generations of beings being born and being taught a certain belief. All of it, most of it, against them first, and then God second. All it all it takes is letting me teach you, and I will show you a perfect example. You can give me your child at 3 years old or earlier. Okay, that's your child. But by age 16, I can return your child back to its doting parents, and he will kill both of them. Why? Because I told him to. No other real reason except I wanted him to. See? Because he's been taught that way. You get it now? That's how easy it is. It, it ain't rocket science. Say damn child is a white poster board with nothing on it. You can write whatever you want to on the white poster board. But anyway, destiny, which I seem highly unprepared to talk about. Okay? Because the flesh side of me really doesn't believe in it because you interfere in each other's destiny. You won't let anything become what it was meant to be. But the spiritual side of me says destiny is unstoppable as fate. It is as unstoppable as fate until it comes to you. I mean, it'll move through you, but I mean, how you operate against each other. Here's examples. You don't like smart people. You don't. The whole of government, most of society, hates anyone with who have an IQ above 130. They better not use too many four-syllable words. Their ass is out of there. You ain't gonna be their friend, is you? No, you're not. No, you're not. They can be as nice as they want. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna feel some kind of way. And rather than you enlightening yourself up to their level, you're just not gonna fuck with them. You're gonna give them names like boring, always serious, that type of thing. Okay? But the problem is you need these kinds of people. You really do. You need you need the smart people around you. Trust me on this. You know, one of my calling cards is, and what I mean by what I mean, people would recall about me most is this motherfucker is calm. In the midst of some of the most craziest shit going down, this motherfucker is calm. He's so calm that we watch his face. If he ain't worried, we ain't worried. Okay? This motherfucker is calm as hell. Okay? He'll walk out in the shit flying around, gunfire blasting. I mean, it don't calm. Calm. I'm known for that shit. It's it's kind of insane. It's insane. Anyway, neither of us can escape our neither of us can escape our destiny. You understand that, right? You may be able to escape fate, though, not destiny. Destiny is of God. Destiny is of God. Man doesn't create a destiny. No, man creates structures and step by step by step by step based on hierarchy, patriarchy, and in some strange places, they wouldn't think it's strange, matriarchy. All of these archies and structures, but they don't include destiny. Okay? It is not destiny. It's like thinking that the unborn prince is going to be prince. Not necessarily. That is not destiny. That would be his wanted fate, or the fate that others would want for him, not destiny. Okay? Not destiny. So don't get them confused. But fate, on the other hand, fate is of man. Fate is of man. One's fate can be determined by the decision of another human being in real time. They can decide your life, they can decide your job, they can decide your career, it can decide if you live, if you're homeless, if you're hungry, if you're sick, or if you're healthy. It can decide who's in control of you. I hate that word, but you like it. You deny it, but you like the animal that needs structure but resist it. And even with the resistance of the structure, you still manage to build your own structure. It's like watching the mechanics of the UN. Again, you write all these laws, but no one actually listens to them but those who have to, as if the rest of them are just above it all. And that makes them above you, and they control you, and all based on money and the threats of bullets and bombs. Nothing else. No integrity, not because it's the right thing, not because it's of good character, not because they're good people. In fact, the vast majority of the people in power was their how can I say this nicely? Their mere existence is a mockery of morality. Their continued existence makes a mockery of morality itself. Now, I'm keeping it clean. I could have said the same thing using another 150 words and just straight up undress these clowns, those who would be king. The emperor has no clothes, and the rest of the court won't say a word. The damn emperor walks out there every morning based on, I am the emperor. I'm going to entertain my court. Let me get up out of my bed and go look downstairs off the balcony of my court and see who's waiting to be addressed. Say, you, ma'am, what is your problem this morning? I have a problem with my husband. Who is your husband? I tell you what, the both of you show up at 1 o'clock and we're going to solve this problem. You, sir, what is your issue this morning? I don't have all of the taxes, sir. How much do you owe? I'll talk to you right behind that couple. You, sir, you look like something I can solve instantly. I'm just hungry. Fix this guy a plate. But no one will tell this motherfucker that he ain't got no clothes on. He been addressing court every freaking morning, butt naked. And they all taking money from him. They all taking power from him. Power has been conferred. Power has been authorized. They like their new positions underneath the helm of a madman, a man slowly going insane, a man who wakes up every morning and doesn't even dress himself, and lives in so much fear, he'll let no one else dress him either. He will take nothing. He will hear nothing unless he wants to. So consequently, you bundle that with the fact that he's known as a hanging king. You offend him, off with your head. So what's the consequence? Bullets or lead. Bullets or lead or money. Bullets or money. Lead or money. They choose the money and they choose the position and they choose the power. This ain't an exact scenario in that order, but it all plays out the same. No one has the temerity or the balls to tell the king that he has no clothes on, for fear that you may have just embarrassed him, unleashed shame upon him. Even though everybody already see, sir, you've been slipping for 6 weeks. I mean, we don't even know what you're saying half the time. I mean, sir, your majesty, you are still that. But what did you expect us to do? Tell you that you had no clothes on? Huh? You see how you treated the other guy when, I don't even want to bring up that incident. He lost his head because you got angry in the face of the fucking reality. Now he a dead man and his wife and kids, and you won't even feed them. You won't even feed them. So again, the emperor has no clothes. It's a combination. This country, and I'm not talking about this country's leadership. No, the world leadership is a combination of those who would be king and the emperor has no clothes. When it's not devolving itself into some elite style of at least, I mean, this elitist style of living in the Lord of the Flies. All you book readers out there, you know exactly what I'm saying. Lord of the Flies, elitist style. Elitist style. Can you imagine the circles that they run in? They don't have friends. They can't trust each other. They run in circles like wolves. They don't even entertain each other like homeboys on the phone. Not at all. And most of their waking lives is thinking about you and that other guy. And probably most definitely that sister over there. They wake up thinking about you. They go to bed thinking about you. You being the ones who going to eventually rise up and hurt them. It's a hell of a price to pay for aristocracy. It's a hell of a price to pay for aristocracy, to be bludgeoned to death by the peasants. They live in this fear every day. This is why they build fabulous mansions with very bright lights and tall ass gates. Okay? Bright lights and the best security systems and tall gates. Because they fear you. They fear you. What you thought that they was just trying to look fucking fancy? At some point, even opulence has its limitations. Even opulence has its limitations. It just becomes so much nothing. So much nothing. And the real thing becomes valuable, which is life, existence, survival, and any threat to it, be it real or imagined, can take an entire turn in one's mind. and set things off into a whole different direction, such is the psychological makeup of mankind. He doesn't do well under threat. He doesn't do well under duress. Hell, he don't do well under 12 hours of hunger. Some of them are already ready to cry and break and yield after just 12 hours of hunger. They're already there. They're already there, hoping someone gives them something. But I digress. No one's going to give you anything anymore. This is America, and I don't mean it in a holistic fashion. I'm still stuck on fate and politics and analogies to such politics, like the emperor has no clothes, Lord of the Flies, the man who would be king, which I found that book entirely interesting. I mean, fascinating. It's shown the, it's shown a light, it shined a light on a certain personality type, on a certain on a certain personality type. See, me, I had to be forced into leadership. I never did want it. I most definitely did not want to be this. Uh, listen, I never wanted to be this. No one asked me. No, like I said before, I was minding my business. I was a singularity. I was a consciousness aware of its own consciousness. I needed nothing else. I needed absolutely nothing. I needed the blackness, which I always was, living in living in the blackness that also always was. And then I got disturbed. I got disturbed, along with six other spirits, got disturbed and say, hey, we need y'all over here. Just like that. Just like that. No one asked. No, when God starts to do things, things just start to move. Okay? I had sat in one place in this space for God knows eons, never knowing movement. I seen other things move, but me myself, I never moved for, for eons. Never knew nothing about motion. And then one day, you're moving. And again, no one asked me. No one said that you will be requested at a certain time. No, I just started moving, as in floating in a direction that I did not qualify or ask for, and I was helpless to do anything about it. See, that's how God requests things, and it's a difference. See? But anyway, the fate, and what you living under now, is it your fate? Is it your fate? I got 10 minutes left. Is it your fate? Think about that a minute. Is it your fate? Is your life yours? Because if your life isn't yours, then there truly is no such thing as fate for you, let alone a destiny. So, do you believe in fate? And what is your fate? Fate being something controllable by man, either at man's hands or the hands of another man. Either way, it's always a man. It's hardly ever God. Shit. It's barely even the devil. No, at this point, there's this man and that man exercising decisions. Sometimes over their own lives, other times over the lives of others, like they would be king. And that's where we're at. So I ask you, do you believe in fate? Your own. Your own. And who controls it? Who controls it? Hmm? See, they want silence. I've been silent for reasons that they wouldn't understand. It literally has nothing to do with what they're doing or not doing. No, I'm not in it for follows and clicks and likes. Anyone who follows me can see that he never even checks that shit. Not at all, because I don't care. I make moves. Sometimes the move includes silence. Silence gives things a chance to develop without more words and more actions and responses. It is a maneuver. It is a maneuver. There shall be no retraction from the grounds that we've already obtained. We don't give ground back. They can take the ground back, but we don't give it willfully ever. If we have taken ground, and we have taken a lot of ground, they ain't getting it back without taking it back as we took it from them. It's what battlefields look like. Give and take, ebb and flow. The wave comes in clean, and when it goes out, leave a bunch of bodies. Comes in again and may even take the bodies away. Anyway, analogy. This is just the ebb and flow of things. And they want silence, as if silence has kind of helped them. No, the damage is already done, and the balls are already rolling. The die has already been cast. Silence does nothing. But here's what silence does do. It gives room for thought, room to reflect. Not on their part, because they don't do any of those things. They just keep moving forward. They see silence as the perfect place to act in. But in reality, it's one of the most dangerous places to act in. But then they're not human either, so I can hardly expect human responses from something that's put. Let me get this statement together. I shouldn't expect human responses from something that's not human when I keep offering human stimuli. See, you can't keep offering human stimuli and expecting a human response that you recognize from something that's not human. So you must start to offer a different stimuli. Okay? Something that they recognize, that they value. And then you'll get the proper response. Are you getting it now? And again, this is why they prefer silence. You deal with something that's been around thousands of years, like me and them, okay? And that's what's really happening. I see them. They know I see them, okay? And they want me to play the peekaboo game as if they are the image that they put forth, okay? When I know they're not, and they know they're not. So who is the audience anymore? Who's the audience? It's not me. I'm a main character. It's clearly not, it's not them, because they're always acting. So they can be the audience if they consistently 24 hours a day act. They act and mimic. All of them deserve Grammys and Oscars. But I digress. The point is, I am unwilling to play peekaboo anymore. And I think that so are they. And at this point, there's nowhere to hide. It shapes up like it should. Those who believe in God, the creator of all things, and those, which I can't even use the term, don't believe. No, those who believe and those who would just as soon stack up in rank and file and wage war against him and the angels. That's their choice. It's neither a good choice, a bad choice, or right or wrong. Largely because we don't care, and we are honoring what they honor, and they honor there is no right and there is no wrong, and it just is. So this is what we playing by. Except As usual, in Western oriented countries, they don't usually mean what they say. They kind of want you to read between the lines and I mean, every word has its definition, but then there's its understanding. There's the definition, and then there's the understanding. Uh, Largely based upon you being cultured and raised and nurtured and conditioned within America. They would say, we're not stacking up for war. That's what they would say. No matter how it looks. They wouldn't agree with any of the last 10 minutes of the shit that I just said, or 8 minutes rather, give or take. Not at all, because they're not there. They don't understand that they're like me making a statement. Why are we still arguing about who's right and who's wrong? Why? When you won the argument and say by 2020, that was a done deal. We got up and walked away from the table. We simply got sick of arguing with you, asking us stupid questions about whose morality. Whose morality? You want to play with us? Whose morality, he says. Who's judging us? Where have we heard this before? Whose morality? We heard it from his kinfolk thousands of years ago. The same kind of talk. Same kind of talk. So we were unwilling to have the argument with you. You win. There is no right. There is no wrong. Every given situation is a situation of just is, and you should not be punished or you should not be looked at askewingly otherwise. So you won that argument. We don't care. I keep trying to say this over and over and over. We don't care where you stand. Where you stand has no value, at least not to us. How you feel, how you view things, your ideas about right and wrong simply have no value in this conversation. It doesn't. It has no value anymore because you have devalued it. And when you say there's no right and there's no wrong, that means that either everything is right or everything is wrong. So there is no right or wrong if it comes to the value judgments of men and women. There is none. So therefore, there is nothing that you should be judged for, and there is no sin. There is no wickedness, and there is no iniquity. There is no bad. Okay? And these are the standards that we play by, except they don't want to play by them. They want mercy. Okay? I shit you not. They want mercy on the threat if they can get it, even though I would just as soon scream inside one of their skulls and give them something just north of a nosebleed, which is well within my capability. I want you to shut up. I'll just scream very loud and inside your skull. And then you'll bust a pipe or something, or you'll start bleeding out the nose and ears, and then the wild ambulance and the wee, they'll all show up, stand around, jaw jack, and they'll call it something. They'll call it something. They got to call it anything except the truth that they all witnessed. Guaranteed. They don't call it everything except the reality that they all just witnessed. Why? Why? Because it would be advantageous to me in their head, and you mean absolutely nothing to them, even though you're on the same team. Maybe that's what you call sacrifice. Maybe that's what you call sacrifice. But the silence is about to come to an end, one way or the other, in the next 4 or 5 days, guaranteed. And I got a laundry list, and I'm gonna tell you something else. Ain't nobody out there special. Ain't nobody out there special. Listen, there's 2 trains leaving. And I'm finna wrap this up. There are 2 trains leaving, okay? You're going to be on one of them 2 trains if you're going to heaven. One of them is being one of them chosen people, And the other train says those who chose God, who covered in that blood. That's the only two trains out. Only two trains. Be on one of them. Whoever ain't on that train, we gonna kill. Man, I've been so clear about this. They used to think I was crazy. That's because they were still thinking and seeing me in the human form and human image. Yeah, I can look back and I can see how even I would think I was nuts. Asking me, making, asking stupid questions and making silly statements that they don't even have the knowledge or the qualifications to make. Like, here's one: ain't no one gonna stop the social order. No one's gonna no one's gonna upset the social construct. It's always been this way. We're all just Southerners. I'm gonna rip all that shit up. I don't believe in none of that shit, and you shouldn't either. And if it can be torn asunder, then you never should have believed in it in the first place, and it don't deserve your respect, let alone your support. Okay, that means it was just a paper tiger, powerful on paper. I mean, threatening on paper, rich on paper, but where the flesh hit the road, or the rubber meets the road, where the shit gets fleshed out at, they're not there. They're never there. But who would know that? I've never seen them there. I've Now I have seen them send others there, but I've never seen them there. They avoid the battlefield. They avoid the hot sun. They avoid hard work. They avoid everything that they would just as soon have everyone else do. But even that's fodder for a whole different show. Fate. And what is your fate? What is your fate that you control? Because you don't control a destiny. You control fate, your own and those around you. Tell you something. And I'm gonna wrap this up here. I know I said this here 2.5 minutes ago. If the people in my strata would have gotten behind me and what I was doing, we would all be living in an entire different financial and economic situation. Instead, they done what they had been conditioned to do, coerced and threatened to do, and given money to do it. I guess to fucking replace the emotional trauma of being threatened and coerced into something that they always have done in the face of similar situations. It's all a mental. It's all mental and emotional jockeying, which I don't do. I'm a straightforward thinking. Plus, I don't really give a damn. I only give a damn about what's in that Bible. That's all I care about. Please understand me. If it's not wrote down or it's not in there, I do not care at all. At all. I promise you. God Himself He would tell you He's not going to give a damn. If it's not in that Holy Bible, He's not going to care. So let me not care and never challenge and never challenge God's word, at least in a way that I can do something about it. Because if I can, I will. I will prove His word true. Love yourselves and be peaceful. I am a source. I'm 7. I'm 1.